Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. For today's intro, I have a few news and updates items that I would like to go over. First off, the Tesla first quarter production deliveries and deployments release that came out on Tuesday had some very interesting language and information about the upcoming financial results meeting on the 22nd of April. In addition to the results meeting that we normally get, they also said that there was going to be a Tesla company update presentation with question and answer. So what are we going to hear? We're going to hear about the Robotaxi fleet coming to Austin in June. Are we going to hear about the new low-cost vehicle? We're going to get some updates on Optimus or maybe some company news that has to do with Elon Musk. Who knows, but it is very interesting, and I wanted to point this out because coming up in just a few weeks, we're going to get a very unique update on Tesla, and it's one to put on your calendars. Shifting gears, I just want to let you know that on Monday, I'm going to be touring the Allo Atomics plant here in Austin, Texas. Now, this is a 6-month update from when I visited and made videos last time. That was at their grand opening. As you can tell, their factory was pretty much barren. They were getting ready to set up their production capabilities for their Allo series of small modular reactors. And these are pretty unique because they are small enough to be transported to any site by a semi-truck trailer. They can be used in parallel or series for temporary or for long term, and it's part of a kind of a regrowth of nuclear power within the United States, and specifically here in Texas, where they're getting a lot of support, a lot of changes in policy with the new administration, and with exploring all kinds of different energy sources. This is also filling in one of the big demands for power with the upcoming trend of AI supercomputer clusters that are being built all over the country, particularly here in Texas. So this is a great opportunity to meet up with the company, see their update, and take a look at their Allo Zero, their first reactor, as you can see in this image. I had a great time at the company when I first visited, and I'm looking forward to the update to share with you. I'll end here with a comment from Matt Lozak himself about nuclear power.
I always like to say, there's two types of people in this world. There's people who think nuclear is incredible, and there's people who haven't looked into it closely enough yet. So if you have not looked into it closely, please do. And I think you'll be shocked by how incredibly cool and sexy this form of energy really is.
Thanks, Matt. And one last thing is the Cybertruck Rodeo is coming up here near Austin next weekend. It's coming up on the Saturday, the 12th of April. It's going to run from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Other than Giga Texas, this is the largest gathering of Cybertrucks you're going to see around the world. It's being put on by the Austin Tesla Club. The link is at the bottom of the screen. You can go to that and sign up, register, come out and have a great time and see a lot of Cybertrucks. I hope I'll be able to see you there. So let's get in the drone, fly around, and see what Giga Texas looks like today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good morning from a rainy day here at Giga Texas. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get through the video before the rains arrived, and I just barely did. So we're going to have a little bit of a different flight profile today. We're going to start here on the east side. I wanted to take a look at what was going on in this east testing calibration lot, the old one, As you can tell, a lot of the Cybertrucks that have been stored here have been moved over to the west side, and we'll see those later in the video, but this may indicate that they've got a pretty good handle on that recall with the cant rails, the kind of trim piece that goes around the sides of the vehicle over the glass on either side. So that is a positive indicator, I believe. Now on the roof of the parking garage, we can see there is some activity here. There's also a LiDAR equipped vehicle in the top part of the screen, and just continues to see some sort of testing going on and other operations within the parking garage. As I continue to maneuver the drone around, this is a nice look back up to the north along this side of the site, and of course looking back at that parking garage with the privacy fences on the ground floor and the 6th floor as well. Now I'm going to pull away farther to the east, and I want to just give you a good overall view of this part of the site, which we don't normally see. Now at the bottom of the screen through the trees, we can see the beginnings of where River Road will go through this location and then wrap around to the north end on this side of the site. It's not quite done yet, but they are doing the work to prepare for that. It's a nice overall view of the factory, and you can tell with all the mist and the rain, we can't really see downtown Austin today. Now in the middle of the screen is some of the workshops that have been used to make the pipes and the fittings that were used in the south extension for the Cortex supercomputer cooling system all throughout that part of the facility. We also see more of the trailers and other equipment for the contractors, although if you look closely, many of the trailers that used to be here have been moved away. And that is kind of an indication that we're changing from one stage of construction to another. And we continue on this side of the site looking at the crash test facility, the battery cathode plant, the die shop, and the large construction zone for that central support campus facility. And we'll come back and get a closer look at that in a moment. But I wanted to stay at this altitude, fly up to the northeast over the Colorado River, which is below the drone, and show you this large clearing and some of the work that is being done in these fields. Now the one on the right is the field that I call Lone Tree, and that's because there's a single tree, as you can tell coming in from the right, in the entire field. We've seen this used for some of videos of driving Model Ys and also Cybertrucks recently. During the Model Y unveiling event that they had at Giga Texas, and they brought some of the new owners in Cybertrucks up to this field. Also, through this field is going to be the new Harold Green Road that will run kind of along the bottom right of the screen over to the highway, and then in the general area where we see these rental equipment lot having all the equipment stored, and some of the warehouses and workshops is somewhere in this location. I'm being told that there's going to be a test track for Giga Texas. So that'll be something I continue to watch. Hopefully I'll get some permits and we'll be able to validate that. Now, while I'm here, I wanted to show you that work that they're doing to store a lot of the dirt here from that central support facility, and it's for later use. And then I'm going to fly back over these kind of linear hills and ponds that's remaining of that sand and gravel mine to show you this large field and what is going on here. There is a lot of equipment being stored here. We can see more newer equipment that's been delivered in the upper right hand side of the screen, along the middle bottom of the screen, and this kind of concrete lined section. We've seen some pipes and some other work being done on some of the systems that we've seen installed around the site. And this is kind of a good view of what this looks like. This continues to be, to me, like an overflow lot of equipment that they use, but maybe not as rapidly as some of the other staging yards that are closer to the factory. Do you see some concrete dividers going underneath the right-hand side of the screen? And then here at a lower altitude, we get a good view of the materials, some of the concrete, a lot of the dirt that is being stored in this section of the site. And I'm going to continue to monitor what goes on here. because this is a lot of real estate that could eventually be used for constructing something in the future. But as we stay at this altitude, flying low over more of these materials here on the south end near the cathode plant, you can see the concrete vaults, some of the steel corrugated pipe, and also some blue water pipe. Possibly some black pipe as well. We see the steel corrugated pipe and connections being delivered here just to the east of that cell test lab. And then here, as we pass the wade pit, we can tell that the entranceway where the wall panels were removed in my previous video is being refitted with more of these steel studs. We also see what looks to be a vehicle lift on the inside, a two-post vehicle lift. And this is also a good view in of what the rest of this looks like. Now, why they need that, I don't know, but you would normally use a lift like that for some sort of vehicle maintenance or inspection. Speaking of which, this is the crash test facility, which has been extremely busy lately. And as I maneuver around, give you just a view of how it is all set up. But on the left-hand side of the screen, now in the center, we can see 6 vehicles that have just recently been tested, a variety of different kinds of testing. Looks like maybe rollover testing, a side pole impact testing, some frontal collision, and possibly some rear collision. Also note that they have those kind of covers on them that we've seen on other vehicles around the site, kind of obscuring the rear and the front of the vehicles. So that is an interesting observation. I don't know what that means. If you have an idea, please let me know in the comments section. As we come to the south end of the die shop and the alleyway, I wanted to just get a closer view of the work going on with the underground stormwater management system installation. They have the trench boxes, they have some sheet piles, they also have beams with straps holding up some of the underground pipes so that they can do the work underneath there. And with the workers, this gives you a sense of scale. So I'm going to reposition to fly through the alleyway. We'll come down at a lower altitude and just notice that there's this delivery of a bunch of different equipment here on the bottom of the screen next to that large crate. And some of this looks like either funnel or hopper kind of equipment that may be associated with some work that they're adding into the die shop, and I'm not sure exactly what that is. If you happen to know, please let me know in the comments section as well. Now, the vaporizers seem to be quite busy today, as you can tell with the vapors and some of that mist that's coming off of them. And of course, all the fan units of the Evapco units are being used also. So some sort of production is going on inside the cathode building. A big development today is the assembly of 2 of these large cranes. One of them is already completed. The other one is getting ready to be assembled. We see the trucks bringing in some of the large boom components, and I believe the top part, which is called a jib, is on the ground waiting for its time to be installed. The fact that there's 2 cranes at least, and we see the steel being delivered to this construction zone, and we'll get some closer views of that in a moment, is a great indicator that they are going to be rapidly beginning assembly of steel and doing a vertical assembly of this new structure. And that also just kind of confirms that the priority here is to get this structure built as quickly as possible. We do see some more concrete vaults being delivered on the ground here. And in this section where the earthwork is underway is also where the electrical switchyard will be doubled in size, built right in front of the drone here. Probably that tree will have to be removed at some point for the construction. And they're also preparing to extend the underground water drainage pipe that you see in the bottom right through this section and then through a culvert into that water detention pond on the left-hand side of the screen. And we're just flying over where that pipe will most likely go. We do also see the fence that has been erected around the perimeter of the main construction site. And most of the auger work with the reinforced piles on this north end appear to be completed today. You can see all those dots on the ground. Those are where there's piles and also where footings will be installed. Here's another shot of more of the crane parts at a lower altitude. I also just want to point out the workers next to the crane items, and that gives you a really good sense of scale, especially here as we round the base of this crane. You can see what I believe is the jib, which is the upper part of the other crane. And with the workers, this gives you another good sense of scale that these are not small cranes at all. Now I'm going to pan back around showing you the die shop, some of the equipment on the front or the north of the die shop, and then here the work that continues with the rebar cages for the footings. And it looks like they are pretty rapidly going through many of these with the number of footings we're going to be expecting. They're going to have to start making more of them. Here's a nice view of the rebar cages being placed into excavations, also new excavations underway, the marks on the ground showing you where the footings will be. And here's a great example of how they're doing that excavation work with those markings. And then the workers kind of flattening out the bottom of the footing excavation so that the rebar cages can sit in flush and they can put the column mounts and then fill with concrete. This is also a great view of the perimeter grade beam. This forms the base of the wall on this west side. We can see that wrapping around the south and over to the east. Again, this is confirming that this is one large building rather than two smaller buildings that we saw in the permits. We do see some tied together footings in the middle of the structure, and that'll be something worth watching as they continue to add the steel in to find out what that means. Also on the south end, it appears that there are at least 4 receiving doors that are starting to emerge in that perimeter grade beam. That'll be something else that I watch. And we can see more of the rebar work underway on the right-hand side of the screen. They're preparing for this perimeter grade beam on this southeast side. And also they're preparing for more concrete pour throughout this entire section. I did mention the steel items that are being delivered. They're being stored around the site. As you can tell here, there's a nice delivery underway. I also want to point out the size of the workers one more time, just to get a sense of the scale of these beams that are being brought in. These are very similar as far as size to what we saw with the main factory Giga Texas, but the biggest difference is, notice that they already come painted white versus Giga Texas. They tended to be gray and had to be painted later on. So perhaps that's another way of accelerating the construction site. This is a nice look at a lower altitude of how the grade is continuing to be raised here, filling out this entire valley that was here before Giga Texas began its construction. They still have a lot of fill dirt yet to go, and that's coming from that area in the northeast of the cathode plant that I showed you earlier, where it's all being stored. There is a big development at this second Megapack site. We do see that raised platform where more equipment will be installed soon. All of the transformers and the Megapacks are going very quickly. They are being delivered on trucks, as you can see by the crane, and immediately picked up and put onto these beams. I think one of my viewers calculated that there may be 78 of the Megapacks here. If that is the case, that is larger than the existing Megapack, and that will put it somewhere in the 250 megawatt hour range as far as its capabilities here, which is a little larger than the original Megapack that you see in the upper left. This is also a great view of how they use straps to pick up the Megapacks from the truck and then place them over with that crane. And I'll just come up to a higher altitude and give you an overall view from this perspective of what this installation looks like. Dropping down in this kind of staging lot, we can see the old Model Y bumpers. These are the stands that were used in the paint shop, and they are slowly being moved off-site for recycling as they are no longer needed. They have a whole new set of new bumpers for the Model Ys and their stands over at the paint shop. So we fly over the castings for the Cybertruck, both front and rear. We do see a lot of activity that is going on here, plus a large delivery on that truck next to the baghouse plant. And that may be related to the Idra deliveries that we saw last week for perhaps a third 9,000-ton Giga press. We continue to fly around the north end of the building. On the left-hand side of the screen, we see that covered area. That's where they have bins that bring out some of the scraps from the castings as they are milled. And this is also showing where those bumper stands are that I had mentioned earlier, and some deliveries here at the 4680 cell portion of the factory. Now the rain is starting to pick up a lot, so I'm going to bring the drone up and we're going to cross over the highway and we'll take a look at some of the work that is going on here for that new welcome center, and just trying to work my way in between all of the rain showers that are happening around the site. But what we do see is continued grade work. They are filling in some of the valleys along that tree line in the upper center. They're doing some excavation work in the middle section, and then they're relocating some of the dirt over to the lower areas. And this is continuing to progress. I'm going to fly further to the west just to show you that there is a potential that they're going to continue the work over this direction. Although right now it looks like they have this pile of broken up concrete that's kind of being pushed together. If that's the case, then maybe this is going to indicate the western edge of where all of this construction is going to be, but I'm not really sure, so it's just something I will continue to monitor. And this is a good look down at what that looks like. Now as we come back over towards the construction site, I'm bringing the drone down intentionally just to give you a sense of the elevation difference between the bottom of the screen and the top where the excavation is going. And with the size of the equipment that is working, this gives you kind of a almost ground level view of just how much more dirt will have to be brought in here to level this site for construction. As we continue to fly towards this section here, we can tell that there's different kinds of dirt here with the different colors. And that is kind of an interesting development, possibly related to the old sand and gravel mine that used to be in this location. Now, I did notice that next to this steel staging yard, which has been cut in half for that construction, we do have a new delivery. I'm going to try to zoom in, show you what I can. It looks like a wooden crate, possibly some Chinese letters on the left. It's hard to tell, or maybe that's just regular markings. And then here, trying to get in closer, couldn't really read the labels, but this is a new delivery wrapped in blue. Perhaps it's headed to the south material staging yard. So it'll be something I'll look forward in my next video to see if that is the case. Now, as we pass over more of these steel items, we get to these Evapco fan and base units, plus all of the equipment that would be used for connecting them. Still not exactly sure where this is going to be used, but these have been here for quite some time. And we're flying over the workshops that are most likely related to that equipment. I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We'll reposition down to the outbound lot and see what is going on here today. Now, there are more Cybertrucks that are being arranged here, some of them with that blue plastic around the sides, that cant rail, which is kind of that trim piece for the windows. Some of them also looks like they've been removed, so I do think this is related to that recall, and they're just working their way through the system to get these prepared for deliveries to customers. Some of them do have the front trunk open as well. Now, while I was here, I thought I would come down lower. I've had some viewers ask if there are any launch edition Model Ys left, or if they are all non-launch edition. And while some of the Cybertrucks went by, I zoomed back in, and these all appear to be non-launch dual motor variants in various different colors. Now today we found out that Giga Berlin is reintroducing the dark blue paint color. So that'll be something I'll be watching to see if that comes to Giga Texas. But from this vantage point, looking at all of these vehicles, they all appear to be non-launch editions, at least for right now. So I don't know if they're building some of those in between the non-launch ones or what the situation is, but it does look to me like they are trying to fill up the supply channels with the non-launch edition Model Ys so that when they do open that up for the ability for customers to purchase, they'll be able to take delivery in a faster point of time. This is a nice view of the north end of the end-of-line facility. It is a Friday, so there's not really production going on. However, there is a lot of work with the Cybertrucks, and this is a long line of them on this west side. The two of the four staging lines that they will have the vehicles sitting here, and then they'll move in as they're ready to do the processing. Since they were in this nice long line, I thought I would do a low altitude drone flight over them. And I know one of the things some of my viewers will ask is, are these being autonomously driven? I would say that by the way that they are parked and they're not all exactly in the same place, it's most likely just human driven. But a lot of these do have that blue plastic along those side rails. Here's what the superchargers look like today. And the rain is really starting to pick up. So I decided I'm going to come over and look at what's going on with this part of the outbound lot. And you can tell the number of Model Ys, also the Cybertrucks. Because of the rain, I did not go back down lower to try to see if any of these were the launch editions. So for those asking me to do that, I'm sorry. Just the conditions really did not lend themselves here today. But I did want to give you this overall view of the outbound lot so you can get a kind of a sense of the activity here, the number of vehicles, the mix between Cybertrucks and the Model Ys, and overall what it looks like. So I'm going to reposition and take a look at some of the materials here on the west side, and then we'll resume the narration here momentarily. Looks like they have some mobile superchargers on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Some more deliveries here in this material staging yard, much of which we've seen being moved over towards the 4680 battery cell production part of the factory. While I'm here, I also wanted to look at the amount of steel that is being stored in this location. It does look like there's been some new deliveries, and here's some of that going on right now with this front-end loader and two of the employees. Next to them are these transformers that seem to have been here for quite some time. The ones on the bottom left are brand new. You can tell by the different coloration. And we do see a lot more steel being stored here. Now, I don't know if this is going to be related to the construction for the Welcome Center farther north on this side of the highway, or maybe this is going to be related in some way to the north construction site that we started the video with. But there is a lot of equipment, a lot of steel being delivered to this part of the site and being stored temporarily. So I'll keep watching for that as well. Now, as the rain continues to really start coming down, I'm going to bring the drone over to this caisson. I did want to get a quick view of some of the pipe segments that are waiting for installation at the bottom of the caisson. You can see them arrayed all over this area. It gives you an idea that they still have a long way to go for this particular tunnel. Here is one of the segments that has been lowered down in, put into place. The pistons are getting ready to push it in to the bore. And then we also see all these pipes, some of which are power, some of them are for grout, and some of them are to help remove the spoils from the tunnel boring machine as it is doing its work. Now, I've had some viewers ask if I've noticed how they remove the material from that tunnel boring operation, and here is where this happens. Now, they use kind of an aqueous mixture, and it mixes with the soil through the tunnel boring machine, and then is pumped out and placed into this spoils bin. You can actually see some of it popping or coming out of that orange container. And eventually this is all picked up by that machine on the right with that large scoop. And then the materials are taken over to the far west where they are stored temporarily in that large clearing that I showed you on my previous video. So that is how that is all taking place for that tunnel boring operation. Here's a quick stop at the Cyber Tunnel just to get an idea of what is going on here. Not a lot of activity at the moment that I stopped by with the drone. We're going to just pick up the altitude. I'm going to fly back to the factory. And at this point is when I decided it was just too much rain. I was going to try to finish up on the other side of the highway, but I decided to abandon that instead. You can see the rain in the image, the Cybertrucks on the bottom of the screen. And so instead, I thought I would just finish up the video with this high altitude view from the west, looking to the east, across the end of line, the outbound, to the main factory, and much of the site that we visited earlier. So that's it for today. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much for your support, and I appreciate it. Take care.